Hey YouTube, this is Brian, aka I Think Sit Down, and I am bringing you, this is going to be two different gameplays. Don't worry about the gameplays though, I go 30-7 in both of them. They're just decent gameplays. By the way, these are both on Xbox, so I've had to really adjust to the controller. So that's why my aim is a little off, and that's why I'm just not playing up to par. Anyways, this is part 2 of one of the craziest fucking days I've ever had. In the last segment, I mentioned that, I was driving home, got pulled over, got a ticket. Speaking of which, I'm working all that out right now with my attorney. And then on the way home, I said I was like 2 minutes from my house, and some chick stopped me and told me she got raped. So this is the conclusion of that story. So what happened, hopefully I can fit all of this in, we'll see. So what happened was, I pull my truck up. I'm driving in the road, in the middle of the road, in my neighborhood. So there's like nobody out on the road. I mean, it's 2:40 in the morning right now, and there's this lady. She's running towards my truck with her arms up, just kind of standing in the middle of the road. Yet then she she would run and stop, run and stop. So I stopped my truck, and I'm worried for myself. Because, you hear about people getting robbed in that sort of situation, using that chick as bait, like it was all planned, whatever, who knows, I didn't know what was going to happen. Was really worried, though. So, I could tell that she was being very genuine, with how how she was talking and crying. She wasn't even talking, she was hyperventilating, she couldn't catch her breath. But basically what happened was she, said I got raped. I put my, she was collapsed in the middle of the road. I got out, helped her up, walked her over to the tailgate of my truck. I sat her down on my tailgate, was trying to get info out of her, She said she's so worried for her life. She didn't want me to call the cops because she was worried for her life. She didn't know what this guy was going to do. This guy ended up being her ex-husband. She put herself in a bad situation. She said she never does drugs. She said, she just drinks and smokes pot occasionally, but she doesn't do hardcore drugs. She said she was at her ex-husband's house because it was his birthday. It was his birthday, and they had a little party going on. I don't know why she was there. Technically, they're still married. She's been trying to get a divorce with him for 4 years, apparently. Said that, she was just partying, having a couple of drinks, and then all of a sudden she blacked out, and when she woke up, he was on top of her, and there were multiple other guys like around and possibly on top of her. Again, it was hard to understand every small little detail just because of how she was acting, which is totally understandable. But she was genuinely scared for her life. She didn't want me to call the cops. I was like, well, what do you want me to do? She's like, I want you to, I don't know, my friend has been looking for me for hours now. My phone died, and, I couldn't read the street signs because my vision was all fucked up from the drugs. And I was the one who recommended to the idea that they probably drugged her, and then she wasn't even, look at this. She didn't even think of the fact that she could have gotten drugged. She just wasn't clearly thinking whatsoever. But I was like, hey, I'll do anything, what do you want me to do? And I just wanted to help her out. And she was just worried because she had a 5-year-old daughter. She was like high 20s, like 28, 29, 30 at the oldest. And she's like, I have a 5-year-old daughter, and I don't want the cops to be called because I don't know what he's gonna do, and he might kill me. Looking back on it, I probably should have called the cops, but I was like, well, let me see what I can do for you. And I was like, well, let me see your phone. So I looked at her phone, and sure enough, the car charger I luckily had in my truck worked for her phone. So I charged up her phone for a second, turned it on. Her phone was fucked up, and it wasn't working. So if you didn't watch that kill cam, if you didn't watch that last kill, go back and watch it. So that was the end of the first video. So, damn it, I shouldn't have mentioned that. Now I forgot where I left off. So, she did not want me to call the cops because she was scared for her life. Oh, so I got the number out of her phone. That's where I left off. I got the number of her friend out of the phone, and I ended up calling him, and I explained the situation. And he said, yeah, sure, I'll meet you up So he drove over. You know, I explained where I was at. He said he was like looking for her for hours. He finally rolled up in his big SUV. All the windows were tinted. At this point in time, it's a little bit past 3 o'clock now. I've been with her for about 30 minutes. And this guy rolls up, and, you know, I don't know what to expect. But honestly, as I walked up to the SUV, I just envisioned him, like, with a shotgun. Like, just at the fucking window, like, gonna blast me in the chest. I didn't know if, you know, again, this still could have been a setup, one, like, fucking crazy setup where she deserved some sort of award for the best actor of all time. Part of me thought maybe this dude was gonna be crazy, maybe she just surrounds herself with crazy people, and maybe he thought I was one of the involved people with the whole rape thing, so I thought maybe he was gonna be all pissed and, like, try to attack me. I didn't know what to expect. But I was happy that I was able to help her out. I mean, I got her friend there. But I was a little bit concerned with how the situation ended, because he got there, and he was, like, hugging her and whatever, and, like, she wanted me to, like, she wanted me to console her too, so, you know, she was kind of, like, had her head on my shoulder or whatever. And, before he got there, but, like, he was just hugging her, like, she ran up and wanted a hug from him, and he was hugging her back, but he didn't seem, like, terribly concerned. So that kind of worried me, but, I mean, she obviously felt comforted by him being there, so I wasn't going to question him. You know, she already went through enough stress, that's why I didn't bother calling the cops. I didn't want her to be questioned. I didn't want anything like that to happen. So I just simply let it go. I did have his number since I called him from my phone, so the next day, I sent him a text saying, like, hey, you know, what happened? Is everything alright? And he's like, yeah, she's fine, you know, thanks. He left it very just blunt and vague and real short and to the point. So, unfortunately, I'll never get to, I'm sure, talk to her or see her again. But I definitely had a little special connection with her for the 30 minutes I was with her. Like, not like a fucking romantic connection, but like you could just feel the fear just pouring out of her pores, like, just oozing out. She was just definitely scared. And it was one of the craziest situations I was in, but it definitely made me realize, you know, I was so pissed on my way home because I got that ticket. But you just, trust me, stop and think about it. You know, you might be pissed because you're doing bad in school, or you got detention, or if you're an adult, like, you can't pay your bills. Yeah, you can go ahead and be pissed about those things, but always just stop and think about it. There's always somebody out there that's going through something way worse. So I was glad that I was able to, you know, see that for myself. I was really glad that I was the one who stopped and helped her out instead of somebody else. So anyways, that's gonna wrap it up. Luckily I finished the story. I think I included everything I wanted to. Anyways, I did make a Twitter, guys, so if you would like to follow me, I'll put the description, I'll put the link in the description. So anyways, thanks, and hopefully you watched all of this. Peace.